Hi all. So back again with life process, and this time this is our 5th lesson together in this chapter. So today we are going to be learning about nutrition in human being. So whenever we hear about nutrition, or in this case we say digestion, we think of only one organ. We think that it happens in our stomach. Right? I feel a lot of indigestion, and we rub our tummy and we kind of visualize only our stomach. But is that true? No. In actual, digestion occurs all the way from our mouth to our anus. You call this area as the alimentary canal. What is an alimentary canal? Basically, in essence, it's a long tube that extends from our mouth to anus. So how exactly does our alimentary canal or digestive tract look like? Yeah, so over here you can see the complete picture of the alimentary canal, and you can see that, like we said, it starts with the mouth, which is also called the buccal cavity, that is lined with the salivary gland, and the mouth is connected through to the esophagus, and from that is the food pipe, and from this food pipe food travels into the stomach, and from the stomach food travels into the small intestine, which is the small intestine is again connected to the liver, pancreas and gallbladder. And from here, food then travels to the large intestine and finally to the anus. So essentially, basically, this is one single tube which is called as alimentary canal, single digestive tube, right? And it has got so many parts in it that are specialized to perform specific functions, right? So this is our alimentary canal. So as a kid like you, I used to wonder, oh my God, how many organ systems we have, right? We have the respiratory system, we have the circulatory system, we have now the alimentary canal, and we also have our excretory system. How does this all fit inside our bodies, right? So to answer that question, this image explains the position of all our organs. And better than this image explains even nicely, because you get a side view and you kind of get to see what sits where, right? So you can see that the heart is being protected by the lungs and sternum, and then comes the liver and the rest of the alimentary canal. Behind it, we have our kidneys and the excretory system, and also we can see that the food pipe, that is esophagus, comes behind the trachea, that is windpipe. So food pipe lies behind our windpipe, and all of the structure is protected by the backbone that houses the spinal cord, right? So yeah, that was about the whole picture. Now let's take each each part one by one. Okay, so let's start with the first part that we have already mentioned, that is the mouth. Right? So why is it said that the digestion starts right at the mouth? Well, look at the picture. The picture itself reminds us that our mouth is powerful. It looks like a powerful machine. Well, it does share functions of a machine that is present in our kitchens. So what is the machine that it functions like? It's a food processor. So inside our kitchen, what does the food processor or mixer grinder do? It grinds a variety of food and grinds it into a smooth paste. So how is it made smooth? By wetting. Like we keep pouring little water to make the make the mixture smooth, right? Something like this happens in our mouth too. Here in our mouth, grinding is done by teeth and wetting is done by saliva. So saliva, is it just water or is it something else? So what is special about saliva? Why don't we just call it water? So we call it saliva, and it's more special than water with respect to digestion because of a special reason. And to find that out, let's look at an experiment which is interesting and which is very simple for you to do inside your labs, right? This video is brought to you by Science Trek. You can check out the channel on YouTube, and it demonstrates the effect of saliva on starch. So starch solution is made by adding starch powder to water and mixing it thoroughly. Now, what we are going to do here is the iodine test, and I hope we all remember what the iodine does to starch, right? It turns starch blue-black. So, it is always used to test the presence of starch. If starch is present, iodine will turn it into blue-black. And if the blue-black color is absent, then iodine will not turn it into, it can't turn blue-black. So here the starch solution is poured into both the test tubes equally, and only in one test tube, which is test tube B, saliva is added. Some saliva is added to test tube B only. Test tube A has just starch solution. Test tube B has starch solution with saliva. And some drops of iodine solution is added into both the test tubes. So A now has iodine plus starch, B now has iodine, starch and saliva. So at first both have starch, and this is demonstrated by the fact that both are turning into blue-black. But that test tube B, which had saliva, the blue-black color fades and fades a lot. That means starch is getting digested again and again and again over there, so much that there is no starch left. So this proves that saliva has something in it which digests starch. So what is it that digests starch in saliva? That's nothing but an enzyme called as salivary amylase. Salivary amylase breaks down starch, which is a complex molecule. Now, what is starch? Where is it found? It is found in all the carbohydrates that we take in our food. Whether it's your rice, your rotis, your breads, everything has got starch in it, right? So, salivary amylase breaks down the starch, which is a complex sugar, into simple sugars. Now, we have come across this new word here, which is enzyme. What does that mean? I hope in chemistry we have all learned about catalyst, right? So, what does a catalyst do? It regulates the rates of reactions, right? So, without itself being changed. So, here also, enzymes are also catalysts, but because they occur in living organisms, it's called biocatalyst. So, enzymes are biocatalysts. Now, what does that mean? Enzymes regulate the rates of biochemical reactions in living organisms without itself being changed. Right? An example here itself we said is salivary amylase, and it breaks down starch into simple sugars. Right? A note on peristaltic movements, right? Because now food has entered our mouth and the starch has gotten digested to simple sugars, and the food has become a smooth paste. Right? Now it has to move into other parts of the alimentary canal, and this movement is aided by peristaltic movements of the alimentary canal. So what is this peristaltic movements? It is a rhythmic wave-like movement or contractions, right, that occurs in muscles along the lining of the alimentary canal, or you can call it digestive tube or digestive tract, right? And what is its function? It moves food in a regulated manner. That means little by little, like controlled manner. It doesn't just whoosh, it doesn't drop down into your stomach, but it gets slowly and steadily in a regulated manner. The food is moved into the different parts of the alimentary canal, so that it can be processed properly in each part. See, if food just dropped into the last ending part of our alimentary canal, then it would not get digested so well. But if it is little by little, if it is left to each part, then the digestion can occur more efficiently. So this is what peristaltic movements are. So let's try to define it. in one single sentence. They are the rhythmic wave-like contractions wherein the muscles along the lining of the alimentary canal function that move the food forward in a regulated manner, which helps the food to get digested efficiently in each part, right? From the mouth, the food has to reach the stomach, and it does that through food pipe or esophagus, right? Now, when it comes to the stomach looks like this, right? So when it comes to stomach, what exactly happens to it? Right? What are the functions of the stomach? So what is stomach? It's a large organ with muscular walls, okay, that help in accommodating and mixing food thoroughly. Right? So because it has muscular walls, it can contract or expand according to the food. So it can help accommodate it. And it helps also in mixing the food thoroughly, and some digestion happens here as well. So how does digestion happen inside the stomach? Okay, gastric glands are present inside the wall of the stomach, and these gastric glands secrete a few things. 1, HCl or hydrochloric acid, 2, the enzyme pepsin, and 3, mucus, right? So we'll look into what each of these ingredients does. So firstly, we'll take hydrochloric acid. This is the first ingredient that the stomach secretes, and it creates an acidic medium which helps the next ingredient, that the pepsin enzyme, to function, right? Now, second one, that is pepsin. Now the stomach is all acidic and ready for pepsin to act on. So what does pepsin do? It digests proteins. What is it? It's an enzyme, right? That helps to digest proteins. And mucus. So what does the mucus do? It protects the inner lining of the gut from the acid. So we all know how degrading acid can be, right? It degrades the materials that it falls into. It is like a hot boiling waters with harsh qualities, right? So the gut, that is the canal, alimentary canal, the inner lining, has to be protected from this acid. And what protects it? This lining of mucus, right? So what is this acidity? You must have heard many adults especially say it, use the word. So what is this acidity? Okay, because over here we see that even if stomach has acid, the stomach is being protected by the mucus, right? So what happens in the case of this acidity is sometimes the stomach secretes an excess of acids, right, which causes the acidity. And in this case, when acids are excreted in too much excess, the mucus can't cope up with it, right? Now, if we look at the structure of the stomach more closely, we can see that there are the openings on either ends of the stomach, on the top end as well as the bottom end, looks a bit similar. It's got like a pinchy thing to it. So over here and here, it looks like it's being pinched. I mean, a pinching sort of a muscle is there. And such muscles are called as sphincter muscles. Okay. So what does sphincter muscles do? It regulates. Again, controlled exit of food is happening over here because of the sphincter muscle. So ultimately, food is released in small amounts with the help of these sphincter muscles. So it contracts and expands, and makes sure only little food exits and enters the stomach in controlled amounts, little at a time, right? And it also makes sure that food doesn't go back up from the stomach to the mouth. When these sphincter muscles start showing a little problem, that's when sometimes the food goes back to the undigested food goes back from the stomach to the mouth, right? So that all that backlash is also prevented by sphincter muscles, and sphincter muscles make sure that food is released in small amounts. In the next class, I'll be showing you another video which will demonstrate these peristaltic movements as well as the functioning of the sphincter muscles. Okay. Our next organ is very, very special because the absorptive surface area of this organ is that of the size of a tennis court. It's like 2,700 square feet. The surface area that can absorb food is the size of a tennis court, and it lies inside your body, right? And the average length of this organ is about 22 feet. How tall are you? 4 feet? 5 feet? Okay, 6 feet. But this organ's length, if you straighten it out, it is 22 feet long. Right? So we'll learn more about that organ in the next class. For now, only this much. Thank you so much. Do join me in our next class together on part 2 of human nutrition. Thank you.